Yes.
All right. Hey guys. LFG, 1st of Feb. We've got another walkthrough to go through today. It's more of a technical slash code walkthrough on Node Cloud and the preferred node feature coming to Restaking Cloud. We previously did a walkthrough describing more high-level, non-technical details on the Node Cloud. So check that out on the Restaking Cloud YouTube if you haven't already to get a bit more context to the stuff that we're going to discuss today. We have some slides just to reference whilst we're going through this. But if you want sort of non-technical details on certain things, definitely check out that video, and we're going to go through how you can participate in the Node Cloud through MEV Plus. So that is going to be really interesting, and Ronnie will talk through that. So yeah, the important thing is that PNO and the Node Cloud is going to offer decentralized node running as a service, node runners for hire, backed by slashable ETH security. So we have this concept of K2 users that can that have like liquid delegations that they can redelegate to preferred node operators, and node operators can then offer their services, node running services for whatever they want, with any network possible, in any network that is set up within the Node Cloud. So node networks can separately get ETH security, and they can get ETH stake, and then also get the node runners that they need for their operations, for their restaking applications. So that's like potentially $72 billion backing node runners. So it's a pretty interesting offering, right? So let's have a look, and let's talk through. So what we have previously talked about in the previous walkthrough is how this conceptually works. So what we're going to do today in the code, we're going to show this is implemented, this is going on testnet soon, and it's going to be a case of, well, how do you create a kNetwork, and how do you, as a node runner that is natively delegated to K2, how do you participate in the Node Cloud feature?
Can I ask a question here?
Yeah, please.
What is kNetwork? What is a PNO? What are this? So people don't know many of this. Like there are 3 or 4 things here, like delegations and PNO and kNetwork. How do I get my money? Who I am? Like something would really help just going through, because we're gonna have a lot of stuff related to the particular actors, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's very true. So node runners on Ethereum that are running Ethereum validators for the Ethereum consensus layer, they can offer their stake for restaking applications through K2. So they do that through native delegation feature. So we have an MEV Plus software that users will use to perform that native delegation from the consensus layer to the Ethereum execution layer. If you haven't checked out our docs, right, we have the Restaking Cloud docs. You can learn how to install this software and do the native delegation right from your machine. So that's making your stake available for other applications to use, right? So you can secure more than just Ethereum here, right? So then restaking applications might say, right, okay, well, I need node runners as well, right? So I then want to engage, and in my application, I'm going to engage what we call preferred node operators from the Node Cloud. So you go to the Node Cloud and you go to node runners that are preferred node operators, and they have at least one native delegation. So they're running at least one Ethereum validator, and they will then offer their services for kNetworks. So kNetworks, right? They want PNOs to run their software. It can be an application, it could be a roll-up, it could be a whole host of things. and maybe they want specific node operators, or they don't care which, as long as people are running it, and they will offer in exchange some reward for running that software, on the basis that slashable ETH is given for the kNetwork. The liquid delegations is like you have K2 stake in the K2 pool that you that is liquid as a delegation that you can point towards specific node operators, right? It's kind of like a signaling, is how we like to describe it.
So it can basically say that I have a native delegations, or I have some LST deposits as well. Can I do the liquid delegation with both balances from K2?
You may have an LST balance as well.
Yeah, so
right?
I'm a node runner, right?
Okay.
And I am part of Rocket Pool. I'm part of Stakehouse. I'm part of Lido Staking Router. I'm part of DVTs, but I may also have this kind of a liquid version of that same tokens that's sitting with me. So I would love to have my ETH validator asset to be replicated through the native delegation, but I also have this kind of a ERC20 token that's sitting, and that if that is accepted as an LST, I also have that balance. So one is a registry balance, one is LP balance in K2, right? So it's like it basically take the stake weight. So how do you is it possible for me to combine all the balances in one and then say that I have 10,000 ETH with me? That came from all kind of directions. I want to do 100 to one PNO that I like it. I want to sprinkle another 200 for another DVT cluster because I really believe that these guys have a mission and they want to do some operations in Africa. So I really want to support that. So I can have all this kind of a very, cross-pollination, or like I can just take my decisions based on what my preferences are. 20% of my delegations goes to here, or 1% here, 2% there. I don't really have to do all of my balances to delegations. Is that all kind of possibilities? Like similarly, how do you do the delegations? Like very liquid? Is it possible, or is it just very limited?
Yeah, no, what you're describing is possible. So to answer the first question, so what you get is unified like ETH balance within K2 that represents a validator. So your balance will get unified and it will be then used within liquid delegations and split in a way that you decide. So if you, for example, if you deposit, 2 ST into K2, right, you're going to get a unified ETH balance from that token, and that is your upper bound for your liquid delegation. So you can slice it how you want, but you don't you only have a fixed capacity of how much you can a fixed liquid delegation capacity. And if you want more liquid delegation capacity, you just need to add it. You need to just either natively delegate a validator or bring more
Gotcha.
tokens.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So if I understood correctly, that then if I have a liquid version of some stake ETH somewhere, it only has this kind of a mapping to an ECDC address, right? So I just give approval, and then that's basically part of the K2. But the native delegation is like it's added to the K2, but you just still need to give an approval from your signing key, right? It's just a delegate here, delegate there, or is it basically like you have this kind of interface for liquid delegation with the K2, so you don't really have to worry about it. I just want to make
But
sure
that's
that the whole thing will actually make it easier, or do I need to go back every single time?
No, I think that's the key thing here about the unified ETH balance is that there can be many sources, and yeah, okay. So there can be many, but the K2 protocol is going to abstract away any kind of differences in these into these inputs.
So the Node Cloud is a very different. It's a standalone protocol, but it just use the existing, the proposer registry, the validator registry that we have, and the K2 staking pool balances it has. So it's kind of a very composable nature, right? Once a state is available on execution layer, you can reuse it, and that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, correct. Under a single address. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So, for example, with yeah, with the proposer registry, you can, so the proposer registry is just about having an on-chain representation for your validator. So of course, in the consensus layer, they have BLS cryptography, which is not compatible with the Ethereum execution layer. But what you can do is you can assign a representative to that validator that can execute transactions on behalf of you. But it's all unified under a single ECDSA address, rather than having to do operations for every single BLS key. K2 is going to, and the Restaking Cloud is just going to simplify that, like alongside the PON infrastructure, which is the neutral infrastructure that is there. That is the proposer registry. The proposer registry is doing nothing, like I said, other than just like validator representation, and there's no fee for that or anything like that. You just register your validator once. It's a single sign-on. This is yeah, think of it like this: like with Google, you can have a single sign-on to an infinite number of websites on the web, right? And that user experience, has a lot of you can do a lot of interesting things with that, and it's the same here. So you register your validator, or validators plural. Like you could be a node operator with 10,000 validators. You register in the proposer registry, and then they are available under the representative address to use in different kinds of applications. And the applications are appearing on a daily basis, and it's fully extensible by the community. They can build their own modules on top of this primitive. PBS can reuse this registry rather than having 10 different relays with 10 different databases on registrations. You just sync a chain, right? So
if you want to do some pre-confirmation, you can do that too. Like any kind of supply chains, any kind of signing operations, any kind of things, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's under a single balance. So in K2, you have that single unified ETH balance. So like whether you're bringing, the different input sources that I was saying, like whether you bring STDs or whether you're natively delegating your validator stake, you end up with a single unified restaked balance that then is available for liquid delegations. And that's where we are here with Node Cloud.
You're literally explaining like a single sign-on, but then you have this kind of in a standard way of you just give this hierarchical user roles, right? In an organization way. But now you can create your own rules, which kind of people can come in and who can do it and what kind of routes. But that's truly arbitrary for the validator registry. But the Node Cloud actually use that validator registry already available and a unified stake balance available from the K2. So
that's nice. Really, it's like a rules engine. You can do rules engines on top, right?
Policy, so policy engine for the roles, and so you have this kind of roles, right? In a standard server architecture in computers and networking, and that's what you have, the policy engine, what you can do, what you cannot do, where you want to go, and things like that. Yeah, it's an application.
Yeah, exactly. And like some people might be thinking about like application directory, the AD. It's very common in standard organizations, and you have like a single switch where you can just there are many interesting applications that you can build on top of it. But once the proposer is registered, that has a single sign-on to any kind of applications, like the Node Cloud. And these validators, these node operators, because it's under the single ETH address, they then can work on many protocols, and they have on-chain reputation. So you have reputation from the validators that you're running already on Ethereum consensus layer. Consensus layer is monitoring many things, penalizing you for not doing things that you're supposed to do. And then you have, if you're now offering your services through Node Cloud to other kNetworks, then you have other reputation data points. And if you so what can happen is, so we talked about the kNetworks. They ask node operators to run some software for their network, and obviously in the ideal scenario, everybody's honest, or like not just honest, but like everybody has a perfect computer with a perfect internet connection and a perfect power source. But the realities of doing this in a distributed way all across the world, in all kinds of countries where even power is not stable, things can happen. Nodes can go offline. So depending on the kNetwork, they can inject the subjective rules for slashing, right? So they PNOs, preferred node operators, will get paid for doing a job, but if they don't, if there's some kind of issue that fits in the criteria of slashing for a kNetwork, then they may lose their lose some of their ETH, right? So kNetworks are getting paid in ETH here, but the upside is bigger than the downside. In general, with all these decentralized systems, you're either on decentralized proof of stake systems, you're either online doing a job, earning money, or you're not. So that gives a bit of an overview of that.
So
And
it's kind of
so
repooling security from the one large Ethereum to multiple node runners, and then they're reinforcing their operations for that. And so that we have signaling from 1,000 delegators. We have derived 10,000 ETH worth of delegations. We hire us. You can see all of our historical how the performance, if we get slashed or not. Everything is on chain, so the reputation is coming from there. Everything is like smart contracts, so you don't really have to worry about it, any kind of manipulations. But the cool thing here is like the node networks, with a single validator, they can receive any number of delegations they want, right? So the barrier to entry is super low. Anyone can give any kind of delegation signaling, but in return, there's an incentive. You share the rewards between the delegators and you, but the kNetworks know who they are hiring. They have absolute peace of mind. If something goes wrong there and someone will slash it, they get their money. They can kick them out and all kinds of things. We're going to talk about all these things in the code walkthrough. I understand, but just like it's pretty interesting.
But this is a first for Ethereum, right? It's quite common in other proof of stake chains for this to, but this is really an Ethereum first.
Within one chain. But we basically making this available for n number of networks. So normally this kind of delegations are restricted to one network, so that's called the proof of stake chain. But what we're doing here is like n number of operations can be docked into Ethereum, and Ethereum is just basically starting this kind of proliferation of a trustless economic guarantee can be delivered to any kind of operations that requires universal access.
Right. Okay. So I guess it might be a nice time to talk about. Okay, so like we need so if a kNetwork would like node operators to work for their network and run some software, you need to spin up a kNetwork, right? So what do you need in that, right? So you make an on-chain transaction, and you spin up a kNetwork. Now, if you're following along with the code, you can see that it's going to deploy a fund splitter, right? So if we go back to the slides, that is talking about this. So pretty simple. So you have at a global level, you have preferred node operators. So so how you become a preferred node operator. So the finer details will be coming in, right? But there is a criteria to become a preferred node operator. You need to have at least at the time of speaking, it's looking at like at least one native delegation, right? So that might get tweaked, but that is like a criteria to become eligible for PNO. And then there might be some kind of other selection criteria, but then at some point you transition to PNO status, so that in the node cloud you have that status, right? You're good to go. Now kNetwork will come along and say they need PNOs, and they will make two decisions as we mentioned here in this. They will either have a requirement for whatever reason, whether it's regulatory or not. They may say, well, we have to select and curate the list of preferred node operators. That's fine, but by default, it's going to be open, right? So anyone can once a kNetwork is like set up, and there are some configuration parameters that will set the kNetwork active. So once the kNetwork is active, then node operators can come in. If it's not like manually curating node operators. Now, as you can see from this diagram, there is a degree of separation between the liquid delegators here you can interchange redelegation with liquid delegation. That's not a problem. So there's a degree of separation between those with the the K2 balance, the unified ETH balance, that and the K network. So liquid delegators, they only care about good node operators, PNOs, good preferred node operators, right? If you signal for a specific preferred node operator, they're going to go and work for n number of K networks, and if they do a good job, you're going to get a cut of rewards. So you want to seek out really good node operators, because it affects your potential earnings, right? There is no lower bound on your earnings, right? So you could earn nothing by doing this, but then there's no like upper bound equally, right? So it's up to you for to kind of you don't have to be super active as a liquid delegator. You can be passive, but if you're not earning, you can just undelegate anytime, right? That's not a problem. You can undelegate anytime. There might be some restrictions on some temporal rule on liquid delegating to another node operator. So that that is just an important rule of the mechanism. But you can remove the delegation anytime. If a node operator is being slashed, if they get kicked, then you don't have your liquid delegation doesn't have to stay in a node operator. But in this payment processing contract, you can think of this as a fund splitter. That is part of your kNetwork when you spin up your kNetwork. So what you can do as a kNetwork is obviously pay. You can just drop rewards arbitrarily in this contract, and it knows who are the preferred node operators, all of the redelegations. It takes snapshots, which we can go through. So that takes so we have so fund splitter factory. That is simply deploying fund splitters for debtors, which are known as kNetworks, and this we have a we have a distribution which just distributes 20% to preferred node operators and 80% to the liquid delegators. All taken care of, like in terms of the and you can have different fund splitters. That's not a problem with different logic. But this is giving you the base template that is needed to figure out how do I get the list of PNOs, how do I get the list of liquid delegators, and give them all the pro rata shares that they should be getting for their various roles in the system. So the contract is pretty simple in that respect. From time to time, rewards are distributed. That does a checkpoint on a distribution, and the balances, the liquid delegation balances, are snapshots from time to time. Whenever they are updated, similar to there is an ERC20 votes contract, out there. So if you're familiar with that, there's a snapshotting there that will snapshot your balance, from time to time. So in a similar way, the liquid delegations will work. And you're going to claim from the liquid delegation bucket your rewards, or you're going to claim from the preferred node operator rewards. Like I said, so as a kNetwork, if the node operator is not performing, then what you have as a kNetwork is you have a lien on ETH yield, right, from K2. So what happens is whenever a liquid delegation takes place, so we have opting in logic here. I'll just cover that before I go on to liquid delegation. So like I say, either the kNetwork is opened and the gatekeeping is not enabled, and you can basically opt into that kNetwork, right? You decide as a node operator, as a preferred node operator, which networks you want to work for, and you can work for as many networks as possible, and you have the same liquid delegation balance.
So the thing is, what you're saying is both have an agency. Like kNetwork has a full agency to decide would the opt-in is permissionless, or opt-in has some sort of criteria they want to enforce, right?
Yeah.
But they can say it's open for anyone, any PNO can be joined. But the PNO has a full agency here on behalf of the delegators to choose what is the best interest for them to run a machine. And just because the kNetwork is accepting everyone, PNO is not guaranteed to join them. So throw some really good incentive for the PNOs to join your network and run it. You get ETH protected node operators. And remember, a kNetwork can have n number of node operators in their network, and out of that, maybe 10% or 20% is the PNOs. 80% of the other node operators could be completely from outside. It doesn't really matter. So it's like very, plug and play. There is no requirement that your entire network has to be PNO backed or something like that. You can definitely do that. You can simply run an L1 blockchain just with a PNO. That's great. You can just run the entire DA committee for your rollups with the PNO. You can just run entire sequencing operations with just 100% dedicated with a PNO. That's fine. But you can also just hire PNOs 20% of your network.
Right, but yeah, so you could, I mean, they wouldn't be as strong, right? But maybe in time they would be. Maybe you can have like a strategy where you may hire the PNOs, which may be an initial like higher upfront cost, but you may transition to your native, like if it's a rollup, you might, or a sequencer, you might transition to like some native validators, or you may have a mix, right? So like they're like fallbacks, or it's interesting.
You don't want to have a rollup token at the beginning, but you could have a rollup token as the go. So you just start with the PNO operations at the beginning, and then you say now you bring a rollup token. You can say that, you still need some sort of a PNO kind of a ETH protected operation, so you get some sort of a degree of ETH backed efficiency. Now what you get it is like you have a very stepping stone bootstrapping to set up your things, spin it up, and get your economics played out in really well, test it out in any way that you want to. The PNO operations are great for anyone who wants a machine. It doesn't really need to be a blockchain. It doesn't really need to be a rollup. It could be anything. It could be something like an MPC network need to be restaked for an operations, and then this is the committee for the MPC network. Great. And if that is a DKG committee, and my DKG public key is here, and all these operations have been monitored, and I'm using for decryption service. I want to onboard 100,000 users to my wallet. Great, boom. If they want to decrypt they don't want to. I don't want them to be worried about the seed rates and everything. Go ahead, use the MPC network. It's already restaked. If they don't deliver that service, they're going to get slashed. There's a PNO. So the PNO node operations is just simply a machine operator, running a software for any kind of operations, right? It could be anything. It could be little as like, selling an Oracle. It could be like a liquidator board. It could be anything that you want. You
have P2P trading, right? As well.
Right. A trading terminal.
Right?
So if you that's a wallet. So P2P terminals, like for example, you want to have an on-chain order book with an off-chain order book and on-chain settlement, you can have this kind of off-chain order book terminals. Multiple people are coming in, and their operations are, restake, and say if they don't follow some sort of a medianized price range that we are dictating, then they're manipulating, they'll get slashed and they'll get kicked out. All kind of operations can be done this way, but it's really the design space is wide open. The thing is, you don't really have to do the heavy lifting. All you need to do, put your business logic, plug and play, write it and point your API endpoint. That's all you got to do, and they will run it for you.
So it's like, I mean, this is one of the most bootstrapping this falls into the category of bootstrapping, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, and that's a really hard thing to do at the start.
Yeah. Pay as you go, pay as you grow.
Okay. Right. Okay. Right. This is good. This is very good. So liquid delegations, right? So in order to liquid delegate to a preferred node operator, you have a delegated approval given to the kNetwork, and that says that you are signaling for to back a PNO, preferred node operator, and you back it with a claim to ETH, right? You're saying this guy is a good guy, and I can vouch for it with ETH, and if they don't, then obviously there are, that will get adjusted over time, and that reputation will become really, really critical on chain. and you'll be able to see, without just taking claims on face value. You might have if you are a network and you're like, okay, well, do I hire X node runner or Y node runner? They're making these claims. Yes, obviously you can have like a real world service level agreement, but even better than that is if you have on-chain reputation that you can query at 12 second by 12 second. You can see exactly what the node operator is doing, so this basically allows the kNetworks to record debt, and the lien contract will track aggregate PNO slashing. So node operators will have their slashing tracked, so that if the slashing exceeds the historical earnings of the PNO, they will get kicked. So it is important to keep, this is important and this is achievable for most node operators, right? And the kNetworks want the node cloud to basically offer preferred node operators that have a really, really high standard of service, right? Especially from the day one, right? So basically it's permissionless, of course, permissionless entry, permissionless exit. This is a core tenet of any protocol at Blockstop Labs. So, but those first critical days, like you can permissionlessly come in, but you need to, you need to prove yourself. Otherwise you will get kicked very fast. So running a good operations from the start and continuously, will be important to the success as the PNO and also for the liquid delegators, right? So that they don't have to change their liquid delegations too many times. Like I said, the rules around slashing will be dictated by the kNetwork, and they inject that into their middleware. So the middleware that we have, we already have variants of that you can read about on our docs as well, and that will be used for the node cloud as well. So in the Restaking cloud docs, you can get a feel for what that's like, how you will inject your own custom logic. We have other walkthroughs as well, but there is information on how you can inject it, the different sources of data that you can use, how to spin it up and run it, how to run a reporter as well, right? So the reporting is permissionless as well. This is what a kNetwork is also paying for. So this is why there is a cost to opening slashable security, and they are basically paying reporters to watch their network not only at a global security level but at a localized preferred node operator level, and these reporters that will come in and submit reports either at the kNetwork level or higher, they are actually keeping the system in check. And obviously are getting paid a fee to do so. So you could be all of the actors in the system that we described, or you could be one of them or two of them, but every actor in the system has got a role, and every actor is permissionless in the system, really. So I think that's really interesting. You can redelegate from your balance. And because of so Node Cloud will use hooks in order to notify the kNetwork that basically a delegation has been received, and that allows that is what allows kNetwork to track the slashing, and can say, like, well, if the node operator has has had slashable offenses, they've got a claim to, in the rules, they've got a claim to E, right? But only if there are violations and the preferred node operator has done something. The rules are, these slashing rules will be known upfront. So node operators will opt in with full knowledge of what is required of them, ahead of time. So, at least, it's not going to be a surprise. And you cannot be slashed if you're not part of a particular kNetwork as a PNO. You cannot be part of, you can be part of one PNO kNetwork and then get slashed for something that that isn't happening completely happening in a separate network. That's definitely not going to be the case, really. So that's so that will cover the slashing side of things. Do you think we should get into how node operators will manage their PNOs? Shall we give like an intro into this? So there is going to be a new MEV Plus module. So we've already had the native delegation module that's been a success. There's been over $650 million dollars in native delegation to K2, so another protocol within Restaking Cloud, and the PNO module will be for the node cloud and will allow node operators to actually manage their registrations within specific kNetworks. They will be able to do liquid delegations, whether it be to themselves or other participants in the node cloud, claiming the rewards, any kind of redelegations, activations, all this kind of stuff. That is all going to be automated and configured inside of the PNO module. So it gives it's a nice, comfortable interface because it's at the node level. Your keys are not being exposed. It just sits and works in the background and abstracts away a lot of the knowledge that's normally required to interact with a specific smart contract suite. It's just more plug and play, right? So if you have already native delegations, then turning this module online will not be much more complex than doing that, really. But with the ability to do certain granular operations from the servers that are inside of the module itself. So yeah, shall we go through the Ronnie? Do you want to take people through the PNO module, or do you have a question, Matt?
Yeah, the PNO module is just basically making things much more fluid for node operators, right? So they can actually do all this kind of actions from the secure environment, right?
Node operators prefer this. This is the preferred approach. In like you said, in doing it in a secure environment.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's see it.
Awesome. I'll stop sharing my screen. Would that be okay, Ronnie?
Yes, sorry, I'm just sharing that particular. Can you see my screen?
Right, awesome. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Just on a high level, I'll say node operator similar to K2. We have a module for PNO for Plus, and we've configured it such that as a PNO module, unlike the native delegation module, you can connect this module to your Plus software and run it alongside your node without the need for the builder API or with the builder API.
Can I get this for my DApp node?
Yes. So essentially there are no specific requirements to a specific client or configuration type. So this module ideally would, once connected to Plus, can work for any node or client type, just to also supports client diversity as well in the network.
All right. Okay. Cool.
So we're presenting a very lean version of the PNO module for now, which has a key functionality of having to redelegate your natively delegated balance from K2 to this liquid pool. And so as a module on start, you have the option to provide beacon and execution node URL flags and an auto redelegate flag. The idea behind this is we seek to as a node operator that has natively delegated a couple of keys, like we have people delegating thousands, almost 10,000 keys, you would have a native delegation capacity within your liquid pools. And so with this capacity, you could apportion some ETH to preferred node operators of your choosing. Having started a node operator module to prioritize or preference yourself, there's this auto redelegate flag that on boot up, the node operator module would redelegate any available balance from your natively delegated allocation to yourself within this PNO protocol. So just on a high level, we have these flags available from the first release. And on boot up as a module, we would start by checking your flag configs, and you would, of course, need a wallet key. The idea with a shared environment variable is with this module for best, more or less for best experience or best output, with Plus already pre-packaged with K2, adding this module gives node operators an added advantage because Plus with K2 has added features where you could claim rewards, natively delegate, and then also even exit or withdraw your validator, all with requests to the module on your node. Similarly, these modules emit events through Plus, where, for instance, a claim. Yep.
So is it like so with the consensus clients, or even the execution client, they have like local servers and you can query certain data points, but it's up to you whether you want to expose that externally. Like if you want to, for example, like it should be possible, right, to maybe via an app, whether it's like the Beacon Chain app or like your own custom app, you could like on the go claim rewards, right? And the good thing is you don't have to you wouldn't have the signer on your phone, right? You're just triggering an endpoint to your local node that you set up securely, and that has the signer and everything injected there securely on your node. And that can do the transaction to the smart contract to claim rewards. And perhaps you need that money for, I don't know, maybe you're buying groceries with it. I don't know what you need, but the point is that it's possible, right?
Yes, that's correct. And or you could contain everything within your machine and not expose it externally. Just maybe you have a shared network locally, which you run operations where certain participants can claim from running or having access to your node. That too is doable. It just makes the whole process much more simple and automated from your secured node system. Similarly, with the way Plus is configured, there are events that can trigger notifications to other modules, and we believe this PNO module can leverage events like reward claiming to process redelegation if like your balance is increased, for instance. So from the get-go,
Wait. You can't drop a bombshell like that and not. Oh, wait a second. So you're saying that so on the natively delegation side, right? You have natively delegated to the K2, which is one protocol in the Restaking cloud. Now you're earning rewards from that, and then you can redeposit that back into the K2 to get a larger unified ETH balance, right? Then that increases your available liquid delegation balance, and you can delegate. You can liquid delegate to some node operators in the node cloud and increase your rewards there. So you're increasing your rewards in both protocols at the same time, but it's possible to do this from MEV Plus because, like you said, they all communicate via the core. They can talk to each other via messaging, right? So they can ignore messages or they can subscribe to messages. And you're saying basically one module can say, hey, I've increased the K2 balance, and the PNO module might say, great, I'm going to liquid delegate to my favorite node operator.
Correct.
and you earn more rewards on both sides. Okay.
Yeah. So depending on, ideally, depending on how you configure these modules, you won't have to even like intervene in its processing, and you can have a structure where you have this consistent revenue flow to your preferred node operators, even from your node operations on your keys itself. So on the get-go, this module would of course start these configurations, and there will be a need for wallet or a wallet key to perform these on-chain transactions. The idea is, even with these modules, which we have put out there, the native delegation module, if you do have a wallet specific for all your on-chain interactions, you can share the same wallet key environment, or you can pass specific wallets for each of these modules to perform these operations. So once this is configured, you have a server, as Vincent had mentioned, the K2 native delegation has a server to perform other on-chain activities, but similarly for PNO, you have this server available to you to redelegate any balance either from your K2 liquidity or your native delegation to any node operator, but also to self as well. So of the background tasks running within this module is the epoch following by the module on your beacon node to redelegate to self any available balance to your own node operator address within the registry. As I've mentioned, if you do have just a connection by a beacon node URL, you won't need to have your MEV Plus software specifically configured for builder proposals. You can just use this head tracking event, or for many who may have already configured Plus as a proxy software to their node, these registration messages that emit from your node periodically are used by, let's say, the native delegation module, but also can be captured by the PNO module to redelegate any available balance if available. So just quickly to give you a rough idea of what redelegating your balance would look like. So the idea is just to have your balance working in some form without it sitting idle. So the idea is to attain your available delegation so far from you being a node operator, calculate like your capacity to delegate the amount of ETH you've provided as security within the protocol, and then see if there's any balance left that hasn't been redelegated. Bear in mind, these are all operations that would happen on-chain execution layer operations that will happen once you set the auto redelegate flag. And in simplicity, if there are any balances available to delegate, the module would redelegate to yourself the available balance within your native delegation capacity. So on the higher scale, this is one of the base features coming out with the very first few releases, and the potential functionality to leverage off of the native delegation module and the builder API to automate redelegations if possible.
Do you think like so that covers the liquid delegation? So in the future, do you think we can also automate like, so obviously there's two sides to this coin. There is the liquid delegations for the node operators, and then there is like opting into the like different kNetworks, right? So I guess either they can have like a preference sheet, so they might have like a not a preference sheet, but a preference file. They might list out in that file all of the kNetworks that they're happy to opt into, and that is like, that can be like reloading, right? So if you make changes to the file, it can reload that file without without restarting the module. But equally, we could also have a server where you basically say, yeah, I've just seen this new kNetwork come online. Let's go to that one. Offer the services there. And I guess as well, it's not impossible to even have if you opt into a specific kNetwork, it might say, okay, well, here's the software you need to download, right? and you can either run that in an automated way in Plus, or basically be redirected to download it somewhere else, right? So like in terms of, this is a great, like what I'm talking about is a distribution channel here using Plus. These kind of possibilities are there
Yeah. And even
via smart contract coordination, right?
that's correct. Even your filing, you could specify some ratios to which you want to apportion your liquidity to the different PNOs you want to apportion, and feel free to change
Yep.
if possible. And possibly any available balance, you can batch these delegations to the appropriate node operators in those specific ratios. That's also doable by this module.
So this is for the delegation. This is what I'm thinking is like, a PNO could be a PNO. Like I'm a preferred node operator. I have X amount of tokenized stake weight on K2, and I basically delegated half of it to myself, and then I just said like, I'll just do the half of it to some others, right? So
Yeah.
I'm a delegator. I could self-delegate. I can also delegate to somebody else, but I'm also a PNO. So all kind of combinations can come in because an actor could take multiple roles.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's correct.
Interesting, because a lot of node runners run their machine for multiple kind of how do I say this? Multiple economic groups, I would say. That means, like, for example, you take Stakely or Restake, P2P, Instones, and all this kind of like, big node runners. They are offering node running as a service. They could be serving Lido, they could be serving a solo staker, they could be serving an institutions, they could be serving that. But then, all of them are associated with some BLS keys, right? And then it depends on the earnings. So some contractual rule, if you are serving for some staking pool like a Rocket Pool or Lido kind of stuff, sometime you may have some obligation that you cannot take other kind of economic choices without the approval of the DAO. So it's the DAO own. For example, Lido, the DAO owns it, right? So DAO need to give a go ahead, and then only the node operators can actually restake or opt in for other kind of stuff. But as a node operator, they can register it. They are who they are, right? Their reputation is independent from different actors they are providing the service. And if I'm a node operator, I'm serving all this kind of guys. Though I may not be able to bring all of my node operator, serving validators into my, balance as a PNO, people still know who I am, and then I can still start like, this is my business. I'm a PNO operations. If I'm just I'm using air quotes DAO because Lido DAO, because Lido is like in a very established business model, curating high performing node operators, right? And that's how they do it. So, oh yes, but I cannot bring any kind of validators from Lido without the approval of the DAO. That's great. But I can, like, I'm a node operator. You can actually see all my history. I'm a known actor. I'm setting up this, and you can delegate to me. How I run a business. My history and reputation is tethered to me, and anyone can now delegate to my PNL operations, and they will receive the rewards automatically. Now, I may have an institutional services on the other side, so I'm just offering node running service to some of the institutions. They can just give it to me. That's their choice. So it's really the user choice is to which node operators they are delegating, and they're getting the rewards. Node operator is just doing their work, running a machine. If they have their own money, and then it's their own money, and they can self delegate. So end of the day, this kind of withdrawal rights, who is the ultimate holder or the rights holder is basically the guys who actually have economic agency, full agency on the rights on the stake. But the PNO, he's getting all kind of the reputation, derived reputation from Ethereum network. If they're doing good, if they have done great, that's great. But the reputation could also be very subjective. So in this case, you're a very heavyweight node operator that we explained, but you could be a teeny tiny node operator, right? A single solo staker. You're running a DApp node. You want to set up something. You're in Argentina. Shall I say Argentina? But I don't know. I'm not that sure. Argentina, right? So let's do that. Or someone from Africa, and you know a lot of services that they really need decentralized security, right? So they want to onboard a lot of crypto on ramps and off ramps, or providing mesh security, maybe a kind of some sort of services like providing like Helium kind of thing, IoT devices, you name it, AI running in a just run a mid-trail on a cloud computing and providing in a small AI LLM for your own things, like for your own languages and things like this. Anything can be like reinforced and provide an MPC services for onboarding that kind of trustless self-custody things. But what do you need? You want an approachability. It's like, hey, I'm an Ethereum node runner. I have some other small machine, but you know what? I could help you. I could reinforce your business. You just give it to me, and then I'll just write a profile. This is what I'm writing for. And I'm serving particularly to bringing this kind of a financial inclusion for Argentina or in Africa or elsewhere. But I'm the first. This is called the last mile delivery to the value value chain. So I'm the connector to all the services. I know I can make an informed decision about what they're doing and impact, and you can write a small write up, right? And they put it on. Now Ethereum delegators can just simply signal it. Yes, we want that to be, to happen. So it's just a beacon of economic proliferation of decentralized technologies. So nobody should stay at the bay and say that we want to do it, but we don't have it fast. So this is like one of the key element of the node cloud. It's really a cloud. Anyone could have at least one validator can register for PNO, but your opportunity is unbounded. The more creative, the more active, the more assertive, more aligned you are to support the decentralized feature, support anything that will help people to have self-custody assets or blockchain-enabled services or Web3-enabled services. Could be NFTs, could be social, it could be running a small machines, it could be IoT. You have a place that you can come and ask for delegations, and they will be readily available. You have 70 billion worth of ETH readily available, and people will give it to you. And the whole supply chain is completely trustless. So the delegations are made is liquid. That means they don't have to worry about you going to do something bad and then they will lose the money. There are a lot of protections there. Am I making sense here? Like, I'm just trying to give you the picture of how this is going to be working.
It really feels like it's leveling the playing field for anyone to start a node running business. Like you said, like you could be a solo staker, right? And you can have values that people like align with, and people can support you, right? And you can start to grow your business, right? It could be, you could then, from the income, you can set up more, more operations from that. So I think that's really interesting.
Incentive alignment for long tail actors to grow.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Cool.
Which is great. Cool.
Anything else? Any questions? Liquid delegations for liquid yield, right?
Liquid delegations, liquid. Yeah. I like that. That's a nice way to summarize it.
All right. So if there is nothing, then we're gonna wrap it up. We'll see. People can just go and download PNO soon on our docs. There'll be enough information, and MEV Plus will get the new release, and it's expanding.
Yeah, and we'll see people on the next walkthrough, which will be soon.
Oh, I can't be more excited about that one. All right, cool. Thank you, guys.
NFG.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.